Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the September 18th meeting of Park and Rec, the Town of New Canaan. First with roll call. So we'll start with Susan.
Susan Leoni.
Doug Murphy, George Bennington, Keith Ritchie.
Lindsay Heron.
Gene Goodman,
Tim Vernon.
And Tim.
Tim Pumple. Yep, Tim Pumple.
All right. So we have a quorum. Great. Before we really formally get started, I would like to take a second to recognize the tremendous efforts of Charles Crookeden, who was the treasurer of the Waveney Conservancy, who passed away unexpectedly about a week and a half ago. I was at the Waveney Conservancy board.
Yeah.
What's that?
Jean, did you say something?
It was Tim.
Tim?
it was Tim, not me.
Okay.
Okay. His efforts were boundless, and in very short order, I believe they will be coming to us for approval for a fourth bench they would like to name in Charles's honor. Okay, he was the one that spearheaded our benches, wooden benches in the park, and there's a third one that is en route, and hopefully before too long they will do some fundraising to have a bench in Charles's name. So,
Hey George, I'm here. It's Jake. Sorry about that.
hey, Jake, glad you're here. Thank you.
Hey guys. Yep, sorry about that.
No problem. So Jake is here. So without further ado, we will move on to approve the meetings from the July 10th meeting. Is there a motion to approve? All right, motion Susan, second. Steve, all those in favor? Gene, thank you. Tim, guys can put the hand or say yay. Speak louder. You're on mute.
They're on mute, both Tim and Jake.
I wasn't there, so I'm abstained.
Okay. Gene, are you good? Okay, great. All right, motion carries. Next order of business, I'd like to welcome Wendy to propose the garden tour for June. And you can, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And this is Julie Marcus for co-presidents, and
Yeah, so I'll lead off. I think we talked a little bit about this in June with you. The Garden Club is planning to host our second garden tour. It will be June 5th in New Canaan.
rain or shine.
Rain or shine. There are 4 homes throughout New Canaan. We have been in touch with the police department. We've approved all of the homes. We've lined up having a police officer at every home. There will be a pre-party on June 4th at a 5th home.
Across the street from your house. Julie.
Yes, they'll be parking at your house, George. Patricia said that was okay.
Okay, that's fine.
But we actually had a question about that. We have told the police about it. We will be using more than likely a shuttle service to move the people because it is across from your home, at the Wyman's house, and there's some parking, but not enough for the pre-party. And we were curious as if you could guide us. You may not know the answer, but we were hoping to have people park at West School and run a shuttle from there, and who we would reach out to, or if that's something we just discussed with the police department.
I would say West School is Board of Ed,
Okay,
so if they approve that, that's fine.
okay. Great, okay, so we'll go to Board of
What
Ed.
day of the week is it?
It'll be on a Wednesday,
The beginning of June?
yeah,
They're still in session.
but not at night, right?
Not,
No, this will be an evening.
Oh.
Evening event,
I
not,
call-
not during the.
I called the school and talked to the principal.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that'll be fun. Okay, thank you.
That's where I stuck.
That would be that was our first choice. Obviously, there's some streets that we could talk to the neighbors, but we prefer just to put them in a parking lot for that if possible. So we held this event a year and a half ago now, I guess, and it was a great success. Very similar format as the last one. It'll be 4 homes. They will be well attended by our garden club members working it. It's a big fundraiser for us to help us with our civic projects. You're all familiar with Irwin Park, which is something we are desperately trying to raise a lot of money for. So we're hopeful that this will be as successful as the previous event. Just to remind you, because last time you had so many pretty things on that George had and we did not. This is last year's program. This is what we're sending out to our sponsors, just to give you a little history on it. There's not much about it. The tickets will be about, we're not sure on the price 100%, but about $75, which is.
They were 50 last time, but when the New Canaan Nature Center did it, they charged 75.
So
So it's gonna feel like we're putting money on it.
Yeah, and that we also just felt like it was our first year. We wanted to make sure we would deliver a great product, which we feel very confident about, and we have incredible gardens, so we're really, really excited about it. And that is, it's been, planning for now for about 6 months. We have a team working on it, and so it's pretty far along.
We're hoping to distribute the tickets from Irwin Park. We did check the Wi-Fi and it will work outside of the brick building. We had a thought of perhaps selling tea towels or stadium blankets. Don't know if we're allowed to do that in the park, if we are, who we get permission from, or if we should just do that in private homes, if that's easier.
If you do want to sell in the park, you have to go through the board of selectmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're not, and we are planning on distributing, but not selling a box lunch. So that would be, they would be picking it up on the spot, but they would not be buying anything. Those are all pre-sold. So those would all be just pickups when they get their tickets.
And we're not sure if we're gonna do that.
Yeah, that is in the air. But if that happens, our hope is that people will stay and picnic at Irwin. Our hope is that we will be able to advertise the new walkway while we're there, while we have a captive audience, that will be able to bring people to the park to see it, and that we would have our club members there to sort of explain what the upcoming project is. By June, we're hoping it's gonna be far enough along that we will have more material and more timeframes in mind to talk about it. So it's just another spot for us to advertise it and to make the public aware of the project that's hopefully in the works.
Great. Are there any questions from members of the commission? Jake, Jean, Tim, any questions from you guys?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Gene is fine. Thank you.
Okay,
All set.
right. Is there a motion to approve? Susan, thank you. Second, Lindsay. All those in favor?
Jake's and I.
Jean?
Fine with me, yes.
Great. Tim? Ben?
Muted himself. Yeah, here he comes.
Tim, go off mute.
Went back on mute.
Ben?
Mary, we're voting for it? Yep.
Okay, great. So motion
Yeah.
carries. I'll give you guys preferred parking.
We were hoping for that. That was the outcome tonight. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
guys. Really appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having us.
Can I keep this?
Yes, you may.
Okay,
Thank you.
it's a great event. There's a lot of good, so.
Thank
Nice going. Okay. So,
Okay, oh, you already bring you the booklet and then the advertisement? Everything you just. And that's just for the sponsorship ads. Okay, but if you'd like to. Let me know.
I'll start designing it now.
thanks, Rob.
How would you like to?
You let me know.
We're-
Thank you so much.
We can share it. We can share it.
Well, there's people online.
Oh, okay.
So, but, I think you get emails, so you
Yeah.
can forward to them.
Okay, we did. All right. Okay, guys, next on the agenda is Robin Bates Mason, who is head of our Conservation Commission for her yearly report. She replaces Chris Shipper, who did this for a number of years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Thank you.
And her husband Carl used to be a member of Parks and Rec.
Yeah. So,
She's familiar with us.
right now. Okay, so, thank you very much for having me, here for the update on Bristow. Bristow just had the centennial celebration about a week and a half ago. I think it was a great success. We had about 100 people attend, we think. About 200 people signed up, a little over 220 signed up, but we think we definitely had at least 150 people show up. On the Friday before the centennial, we had the Friends of Bristow and the Conservation Commission helped put on a lunch for the members of the Parks Department and for the Highway Department and vendors who did all the work on Bristow. The lunch was donated by Walter Stewart's Market, which was fantastic. And then, of course, Land Trust put on the program on Sunday, the Centennial Celebration. And with David Sibley and unveiling of the statue and singers and woodwind instruments. It was and beautiful, beautiful weather. So what I've just handed out is just an update since all the phases have been completed of Bristow, of everything that's been done at Bristow. The first page is the cake. From the celebration, the picture is not very good because it was absolutely huge and fed everyone and some. So for the people online, George, I mean, later you could send them what I sent you, but, so the first page is the Mead Park parking lot entrance, and the flexi pave has been completed. And if anyone's taking a look at that, so that was completed about a couple weeks. That was about a week before the Centennial.
Yeah.
Got it, yeah, so.
Barely.
Sure, Tiger wasn't stressed at all. Next page are now you know there are two entrances from the Mead Park parking lot. The original path has the incline, and the new path is more accessible, and it has the new gate that goes into Mead Park. So now there's two gates into Bristow from Mead Park, a lower one and the higher one. All the gates have just been put on a latch on them, so they'll close, not by themselves, it's not spring loaded, but you're supposed to be able to close them in the lock. So the next page is the Bristow gate's been gold leafed, the trails, the Parks Department was in there, Todd and people were there before the celebration doing cutting and blowing and getting everything done. You can see from the pictures, the next page is the preambulation wall, which was repaired, and there's information there about it. Next page is the pavilion. And that's where we had lunch on Friday with the DPW and Highway Department and Parks Department. The next page, and that is the Bird House Trail that's been put up. You're probably familiar that the town entered an agreement, a stewardship agreement with Land Trust in October of last year regarding Bristow. So Land Trust is working with the Conservation Commission, the town, and it's more of an advisory role. But one of the things they will do is they will maintain all the birdhouses and the bird feeders, and they'll go around to looking at the trails. If they spot anything that needs to be done, they'll let Conservation Commission know, and they'll also let the town know. Next page, of course, that's the bird blind, and that's at the end of the birdhouse trail, if you haven't seen that. And the next page it's been unveiled now, of course, the Francis of Assisi statue. Then the next page is the Cam Hutchins Pollinator Garden, and that was installed by the Buchanan Pollinator Pathway Group, with a lot of help from Mo Zachary and the Highway Department. Next page is the Fernery Garden, that was Ty Tan, that's worked with Chris Schiffer on that. There's also the Free Little Library, which gets books put in every week from the swap shop. The following page is the new sidewalk area. So once again, the fence has the Bristow's been gold leafed. We have the parking area now, and then the sidewalk that goes up to Park Street. That's all been completed. The next page shows the walkway. There had been some graffiti damage. That's all been restored and taken care of. Next page is just the trail next to the train tracks. Last page, and then just that some of the issues that we still face in Bristow is we are constantly battling invasive plants. Land Trust is helping there. They've gotten some summer interns to go in there and pull some of those out. We have issues with spotted lantern flies all over. We're getting a lot of comments from people on what to do about that. We've had some people say they were gonna go in and spray something, and we're saying, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. Of course, a lot of the trees have been affected, the beech trees by beech leaf disease, so Land Trust and Conservation Commission are watching those, and we'll talk to the tree warden if any of those need to come down. We do have an issue with deer. We're gonna be trying as Conservation Commission, we're trying to get maybe signs put up to get people to close the gate doors to keep the deer out, and, we are having a problem with electric bikes coming through and tearing up.
Yeah.
We've had some big problems with that. So that's the update on Bristow. We have about $10,000 line item in the parks budget for Bristow. And that, can be used, obviously, we used it the end of last year, the last budget cycle for some of the cleanup of the graffiti. But otherwise, you know, any little projects we see that need to be done, and we're working, of course, with the Parks Department. Any questions?
I think your comments about the electric bikes is very timely, as we are gonna try to adapt a new code of conduct policy, which will include the banning of electric bikes on trails in the parks.
Yeah, I would say we do have a lot of people that go through Bristow on regular bikes, but they only go on the main one, and I
Right.
think they're a little concerned we might take that away from them. I don't think I'm advocating that, but it's the electric bikes
Right.
that are.
Correct, yeah.
The electric bikes are the only thing within our guidelines.
Okay, yeah,
It's
so,
not bikes that are powered, like human powered.
yeah,
It's,
so,
it's a growing concern in the town right now.
yeah, and it's really, right before the centennial, the trails got cut up. The Camp Hutchins Garden, they were using it as a circle. That wasn't great, but otherwise, that's it, so it looks great, you know, Tiger, the Highway Department, Parks Department, everyone, they did a great job. Chris Shipper obviously was the person who headed all of this and got it done, so it looks great, you haven't been there, definitely go for a walk, it's beautiful.
Absolutely. Are there any questions for Robin?
Just a comment, it looks great. I mean,
Yeah.
Does look good, yeah.
the workload in there is very evident and it's a terrific asset now.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely people in the community have started saying, I lived next to it for 14 years and it never looked like that, and then I moved and then,
Well, I think
Wait until you
also
get-
I know,
how that you guys handled it from the Bristow sanctuary to the land trust, that transition to assure its long-term maintenance and survival is a very good move.
yeah, it's a stewardship advisory that they're not doing big items.
Right.
That's all the town, it's the town, but, for instance, with the Camp Hutchins, when I dropped off some plants,
Mhm.
it was Land Trust that said, okay, we can plant them, so
Right.
they, especially with their summer interns, they were able to plant some of those, so,
Perfect. Okay.
stuff like that, so it's been great.
Any questions or comments? Jean, Jake, Tim?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Great. Thank you.
I'm good too, Jake.
Okay. Great.
Right,
Rob,
thank
thanks
you,
so much for coming. Appreciate it.
thank you.
The great work you're doing. Next on the agenda is our new proposed parks and recreation policies, and I will turn this over to Lindsay.
Great, thanks. Well, I hope everyone had a chance to take a look at the attachment that we sent out in terms of our new rules and regulations. We are here in hopes of adapting them, but they've gone through quite a process. Doug, Hank, George and I have been working with John. It's gone to Deanna. She's taken a look at it. The town attorneys have taken a look at it. So now this is just sort of for us to get your input and make sure everything is, you know, ticked and tied. The reason, and we talked about this earlier, we had someone approach us and just sort of ask if we did have any kind of rules and regulations within the park system, and we didn't really have anything. So we've done due diligence in terms of looking at surrounding communities and documents from like even as far afield as like in Arizona, Phoenix Park, we were looking, we were looking at just to kind of get a sense. The emphasis on this was really a common sense and sort of the expected social contract for park use anyway. And we also wanted to make sure that things were enforceable. So we weren't wanting to have grandiose ideas where we could never enforce it. The statement of purpose that I'll just sort of read again as a recap is the parks and recreation rules and regulations provide a framework for the town to manage visitor behavior and deportment across all park properties to help ensure that visitors experience the town's exceptional parks and programs without unnecessary inconveniences, distractions, or disturbances. So I would just be happy to field any questions or comments. Doug just found a few things that we need to make note of right at the very top. It said, if New Canaan Parks and Recreation Commission, so we just have to take that if out.
I corrected that before.
Perfect. And then also, we have been calling it the code of conduct. There is sort of a portion about the code of conduct in here, but the new headline really is rules and regulations. So on point 19, we said unlawful conduct that violates the Connecticut statutes, New Canaan Town Code, or posted park rules, or, and we'd like to amend that to rules and regulations. And we have a similar call out in the enforcement section, number 5. If a notice of revocation is issued to a juvenile, to the extent reasonably possible, a notification may be sent to the juvenile's parent or guardian, informing them of the issue and providing education about the rules and regulations. Are there any comments or other issues that anyone found as they were going through this? Either online or in person?
Just one, and I think someone's vacuuming, so,
Yeah.
so the title says governing use of New Canaan parks and recreational facilities. And then when you go to section 318,
Mhm.
it says animal inside facilities. Except, so I understand if you mean like Waveney House. But if
Or the
you-
pool.
Or the pool, what,
Paddle.
wouldn't a recreational facility also include the paddle courts or a baseball field? Wouldn't you call those recreational facilities? And I guess, so I'm just wondering if we shouldn't there say structures or something to make it just a little more clear. You mean buildings?
Yes, but then also because of the pool and like we weren't sure. We did talk about that.
Yeah.
So maybe we do need some clarity with structures, but we sort of had come back to facilities because of like the pool and things rather than just being
Right.
a building
Yeah.
or.
How about animals inside facilities and structures?
Well, when now you're making it both, you're making it broader, not,
Yeah.
I wanna make it more narrow. Cause I mean, as a dog walker, I have walked, let's say I walk the dog in Waveney. Sometimes we might go right next to the children's play center, right?
Mhm.
Or we might go across the baseball field. We don't go in the pool, we don't go in the pool, we don't go in Waveney House. I remember once I took them in the bathroom with me, I needed to go and I didn't have anything else to do. That's all, that's my own plan. So
Yeah.
just clarify that we really mean,
Well, we are sort of
structures.
talking about facilities in the sense that, again, like we're gonna have a fence around the workout facility, right? Like the in the park, and we don't want dogs in there. So like, again, things like that. But, so I don't know,
but what about like walking across the baseball field?
yes, well, we wouldn't,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the other thing too, is
Yeah,
that
we don't look at that as a facility per
Yeah.
se, we look at it as a
it
field.
doesn't have sort of
so-
the
field,
the
yeah.
same.
Okay.
kind of
I know what you're
boundary.
saying, but
So I'm making the point just so we all
Yeah.
know what we mean.
Right.
Right?
Yep. Good point.
So I mean, it's really something that has some sort of an enclosure type like boundary, like, which is why I would draw a distinction also on like baseball field or something like that. But
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like a succinct way to say that.
because like inside the turf fields.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be dogs in there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna make too big a deal, I just don't want to get arrested when I'm walking my dog, that's all.
Yeah, officially, it sounds like you broke the law by taking a dog in the bathroom.
I know.
Thank goodness
I would not
they
do
did it
anything.
before.
Right. One thing that's important about this document, I really want to give kudos to Lindsay, Doug, and Hank for putting this together, because the town has never had a comprehensive policy such as this, okay? What we've had before is patchwork, okay?
Yeah.
This field, that field, this rule, that rule, we've not had something like this, and I know Deanna is 100% supportive of this, okay? What you have here is an amalgamation of some new policies like electric bikes, okay? It also has some existing ordinances like firearms, okay? And so it's blended into one. So what I would suggest, and this is very much a working document, if we pass this tonight, and if we can come up with some potential more clarification or verbiage, we can certainly do that too. We're not adopting an ordinance here. That's important, okay? I think Keith raises a good point, something that probably we need to explore, but for the purpose of tonight, I would say, I think we understand what what the intent is, but if we need to do some further clarification, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm talking, listen, I just wanted to get that out there, I'm happy
Yep.
with it as it is.
Okay, thank you.
And
I have a question or two. First one is very generic. There's a lot of verbiage in here, and I don't disagree with it, by the way, but putting on a legal hat, so to speak, as an example, number, where is it? The first page about implements of any kind. Point 6, possessing weapons or destructive implements of any kind. Clearly, if I was a lawyer in a big deal case, I would say that's very vague. And I have no objection to it because I don't like going down that path of everything being so tightly defined that you can't understand it. You get back to the US tax code. It has everything you looked at and you read it, you're scratching your head. So I don't have any problems with the way this is, but I do raise the issue. Should we have some legalese person look at this and say, for our purposes, this is reasonable if we don't want to go down the highly defined definition of every other word almost that could apply here. That's one comment. And again, I'm happy with it the way it is.
And I
I
think,
We did
Looking at
have the town attorneys take a look at this. So they gave us feedback already on this and, that wasn't part of their feedback. I think they, felt like this worked. More feedback we got was sort of like making sure that we sort of were falling within, things that were already in existence, like covered by the state or something like that. But we did have them take a look at this.
right. Another thing, and Gene point to, 19 is an unlawful conduct that violates the Connecticut statute. So that pretty much is the catch-all phrases that we use for that. But we wanted to spell out, because a lot of other townships like Darien specifically say weapons, okay, or destructive weapons. So that way, we spell it out. Somebody comes in with a machete,
I think a machete is a clear example. As an example, a stick could be a destructive implement used in certain ways. A baseball bat is an example. And again, I'm not objecting to what's going on. I'm just pointing out that are we comfortable with the degree of flexibility that might come in terms of how you interpret this, all this? I'm okay, but that's a question.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have one other comment. There
Sure.
is a erecting any flag, banner, signage, memorial, similar commemorative display, temporary or permanent. The rink does put a sign out saying the Tony Butcher Memorial Skating Rink or something like that. It's a temporary one, but yet this is the way I could read this is we can't even do that. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, let it ride, but
Number 32, erecting any
Yeah.
flag, banner.
It's a good point,
signage.
because the powerhouse like puts up signs about their new shows sometimes around, in that part.
It's the yard signs more than anything.
yeah,
It's the problem.
Yeah,
Right.
And
Well,
that's now, the Board of Selectmen has an ordinance against, I shouldn't say an ordinance, has a rule against any of that type of signs.
Right.
Yeah.
So
this is restating kind of a rule that already is out there.
exactly.
Yeah.
In part, though, this is also sort of addressing the whole, like memorial display. That really hadn't been addressed before, but that we wanted to say was, so specific that it is not allowed in the park.
Right,
So
well,
that's part of it too.
but point 32 does say banner or signage,
Right,
which is not, it's, there are signs out in the park all the time. And
right.
ones I don't think we object to.
Correct. Yeah, well, we can think about it. I think what we are trying to do here is sort of the act of erecting, someone putting up a lawn sign or putting up a memorial, something that is a more temporary sort of thing that they're doing as opposed to like the signage for the powerhouse and that's certainly our intent at least. So I think we can go back and also think about that too, if that's the sort of temperance of it is conveyed enough and,
Well, aren't we also trying to kind of like, empower Parks and Rec or the police or whoever are enforcing this, that if they see these signs, they can take them, those are, violations.
yeah, like a
They
yard
can
sign.
pull
you
them,
go.
for the most part, they're not gonna enforce, most of the signs, they'll just leave them up there, right, until they get out of date. But you kind of want to have the right to be able to say, maybe, let's just, Deanna might wake up and then, can you just pull all the signs? I went to the park the other day and I found there were 50 signs there, just pull them all. And you want to have rules that say, those signs are wrong and we have the right to pull them up.
Right,
The problem is that if this is enforced on a discretionary basis, that someone could come along and say, well, last week there were 3 baseball signs saying over here for the XYZ baseball league. Now, we're okay with that. Someone else put something else up, which is not different than signage. It's still signage. You have a problem saying, well, Keith, I understand exactly. Discretion is a great thing to have, and oftentimes it's not exercised properly. But at the same time, to some extent, that this doesn't, for people who want to challenge the discretionary use, they could have a lot of good examples of where we're not being consistent. Again, I'm not trying to cause trouble. I agree with all this. Maybe signage is too broad, or banner is too broad, perhaps. Flag is clearer, I think. Memorial is clearer, etc. But just a thought that maybe they could be tightened up or changed a little bit.
Good point.
yeah,
That's it for me.
Good point.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any questions or any further questions or comments? Well, appreciate everybody's input here. And like I said, this is a working document. And our intention is not to pass this and then bury it under, 6 feet of paperwork. Okay, this is going to be hand distributed to a lot of sports groups, families. It's going to be, posted. So, there's a lot of recourse to this. And I think to your point, too, I think what we'll do is we'll keep, based on Keith's comments and Gene's comments, our ad hoc committee. And let's, if we pass it tonight, let's revisit some of these points. I think
Okay.
they're valid.
That sounds good.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
I moved to approve it.
All right. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
I
Tim?
Yep. All right. Yep.
Jake? Okay. You should still be on. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Jake, you still there?
Here,
Okay. You're good? Yes?
we can't hear you, Jake.
it's a little in and out for me, but I'm here.
There you go.
Okay.
Are you okay with the proposal?
Jake, I think you voted yes or no?
I'm a yes.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
So motion carries. Thank you, guys. This is big. Good work, guys. Yeah, really nice work.
Mike?
Mike, how are you? Good. So we will move on to the next item. is the proposal for the change comes in revenue share for 4th of July. I'm gonna let John handle this. I do have to ask that Keith and I cannot vote on this because we're exchange.
Yeah, that's to recluse ourselves.
Exactly.
And then we might not be able to vote on it because then there's only 6.
Well, we still have a quorum for the meeting, right?
I don't know. I don't,
Technically, we're supposed to have 7, right?
right.
Well,
You wanna
but
table?
I don't need 7 to vote, I think as long as.
You want, I'll just go through it, what we
Sure.
need, and then we can wait till next month.
That's fine.
Yeah, not gonna
Perfect.
be big. So what I'll be looking for next month will be 2 motions. But let me give you a little bit of history. So for many, many years, I don't know how many years, the Exchange Club and the Recreation Department have worked together to sell ice cream for the 4th of July. The Rec Department would get the supplies, set up tents, that type of stuff, and then the Exchange Club would do all the selling of ice cream. Back in 2022, we were supposed to share the profits. That's what happened. So any profits were shared. In 2022, unfortunately, with the finance department, we didn't have some proper paperwork and we weren't able to share the profits. So the Parks and Rec department kept all the profits. So simple, deal was made saying that the Exchange Club will get all the profits in the 2023 fireworks. Unfortunately, in 2023, we had mass melting of ice cream. We had a freezer breakdown, an absolute disaster. We didn't have any profits.
Oh, loss.
So in 24, the Exchange Club was gonna get all the profits. And when I went and gave them all the paperwork that they asked for before, they said the Park and Rec Commission should be approving that this is what you're gonna do.
Mhm.
So we'll be looking for the one motion saying that all the profits from this last year's fireworks will go to the Exchange Club, so we're back to being whole per se.
Mhm.
And then in future years would be the second part of the motion that we'd be doing a 50-50 split on the profits. So, but we can table it until, to have a formal vote. next
Right,
month.
we probably, since this does involve money particularly, we should table that, to the October meeting. Okay. Great, all right. Sorry,
Can we just say that the freezers were great this past
Yes,
year?
they were terrific.
So wonderful selling stuff that wasn't melting in our hands. And boy, so much of the ice cream was sold out.
Oh, yeah.
That was huge. But we
Yeah.
find out there isn't that much demand anymore for like diet Cokes
Yeah.
and Cokes. That's really the market kind of shifting. a little.
Yep, we took some notes on what we probably do differently.
Yeah, but it was huge. I worked the last shift. We were really busy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Okay. I will let, the Exchange Club board know that we're gonna table this to October. So that's fine. Okay, no problem at all. Okay, John, thank you. Now on to Mr. Ritchie, Waveney House yearly update.
Okay, so you see the slide up there showing a picture of our beautiful Waveney House. It says draft, but it's only draft in the sense that the minutes have to be approved, and in fact, these are part of the minutes. How about that?
Here we go.
For the most part, the slides speak for themselves, I hope. So let's move on to page 2. You recall that a few years ago, they did phase 1 and then phase 2 of the case study brands studies. And under those, they increased the rates for the use of Waveney House. And that had no discernible impact on bookings. They also created a new dedicated website. And in that, a new brand identity, which don't ask me for details, and a website content management. And they also created a wedding coordinator position. And over this past 12 months, Rachel Lapham came on board in the role of Waveney House wedding coordinator. And I love this verbiage here. Thank you, Beatrice, for this. With her much needed energy for touring and booking events, as well as press release offerings that have piqued the public's interest, Waveney House touring activity is nonstop. Rachel has put Waveney House on the map of social media to include Instagram and Facebook. One of the Waveney House weddings was featured in the May-June issue of New Canaan's Bedford magazine. So that's doing great. I included here the site for the Waveney Weddings website. And if you visit the weddings gallery, And here's the whole way you can find that link. The pictures are beautiful. Waving House looks great. The terraces, the gardens and surrounding grounds. The photos really reflect the beauty and the outstanding job you guys have done in maintaining and bringing back to life all those gardens. And Rachel's been building strong relationships with brides and grooms and caterers and photographers. Since January 2024, so that's just this year, 40 evening major event reservations have been made. For comparison, there are approximately 34 similar major events in all of 2023. We're currently entertaining wedding interest for 2026 already, which is amazing. And when we say these evening major events, what we mean are the weddings, celebrations of life, corporate events, adult birthday parties, and the annual Old Timers event. So those are all great, but the weekend, the weekday meetings and the events where people are just using the facility for like a lunch or a meeting, those aren't even included in these numbers. So that, in my view, at least, has been a huge success. Moving on to the ADA compliance and improvements. ADA compliant second floor restrooms are almost complete. That's been a big project. The driveway garbage receptacle area upgrade project has been completed. I was out there today and I took some photos. Unfortunately, it was too late to get them into the slides, but that area looks beautiful now. It used to be an eyesore and it's great now. The elevator project has been approved and it's going to be installed sometime this coming winter, from sometime between Christmas and March 2026. The team is currently working on the upgrades to the bride's rooms and groom's rooms on the second floor. And I brought up, what about installing air conditioning? And I was told that the cost of installing air conditioning has not been included in the budget at present, which I think is unfortunate, because I do think anybody who's gonna reserve a building for a wedding during the spring, summer and fall will want to know that there's air conditioning. So if there's a terribly hot or humid day, it's not gonna kind of blow things up. And also, I just think as a steward of a town's, landmark property, we know how the climate degrades things around here. And if you can't close all the doors and windows and run the AC every now and then, your wood will start getting kind of mildewy. So I do think that's something that somehow ought to get on the budget.
With that said, the design of the new heating and air conditioning system that money's been approved and they've been working on that.
Oh, that's great.
So in a way, the way I think they deferred it was the fact that at this point in time, we're not gonna just fund it to do it, but if there's a major failure, we
Yeah,
can possibly turn it around.
you said heating there, so are they redoing the heating? Oh, sorry, that's just are they redoing the heating? I didn't even get on that.
Yes, that's the main issue. The heating system at some point in time, being 100 years old,
Yeah.
could have some major failures of the pipes and the walls, that type of stuff. And if you're gonna redo the heating system, you might as well install air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Moving on, landscape work in the nearby garden is completed and the fountain is operating. Beautiful carved benches that we mentioned earlier, they're set out, to the left of the gate on, and everything it looks great. I showed everything really looks great.
Yeah.
And that completes the report?
And the Wave Conservancy Board was very complimentary as to how the house looked and the gardens looked and the fields, and they were, it was just nothing but enormously positive things that were said.
Yeah.
Keith, thank you. That's great.
I won't bring my dogs in.
On leash.
Exactly. So it's a great asset the town has, and we need to keep it going. Susan,
Okay, thank you.
you.
I have lots of great figures and things from Aggie on Lapham Community Center.
I didn't pass them out.
Yeah, if we got copies, let's do that. That'll be great. Thank you for doing that. Well, just passing it around, I'll go ahead and start. One of the things that Ivy mentioned was that Lapham's all-time attendance is 241,826 participants taking part in classes, activities, and events. They expect to hit 250,000 this year. This does not include the use by other organizations who use the facilities such as CERT, EMS, Encore, Men's Club, Police, New Caney coaches, and many more. So it's really well used, and it's accomplished all with a staff of 2 1/3 persons. So they really do a yeoman's work. It's amazing. Each room is booked and turned over 2 to 3 times a day. Currently, there are 86 to 90 offerings. I did not, the newsletter and the calendar are available outside on the table next to the couch if anybody wants to take one. Many of you, I know I get it online, so many of you do, so I didn't bother passing that out. Last year, there were 453 Medicare D counseling appointments completed, saving participants over $1 million. $1,013,242.91 to be exact. Thanks to the ARPA state grant, which I think we remember Aggie mentioned, brought that to us last year. 1,255 residents enjoyed extended hours, which added 226 hours to the use of the facility, and the grant extends through the fall of 2025. This summer, the summer session had the second largest number with 3,445 residents visiting during June, July, and August. On the first full day of this fall season, there were 220 residents were in the building. And you know, it's amazing. It doesn't feel crowded. It's quite incredible. This month, much of the fall programming is already totally sold out, and many of them have a waiting list. As we know, it started as a senior center, but I asked Aggie about this, and she said the average age of participants is declining, with many younger residents in the 50 to 60-year age group attending classes and events. And if you're here for events, you can absolutely see that there's a wide range of people who are using the house. For upcoming events, and of course there's, you know, so many of them, I'm not going to mention them all, but the Medicare D counseling will take place from October 15th to December 7th, and the appointments will open on October 1st. Flu clinics, the flu clinic will be held on October 23rd. They just got that date today, so it's not on the paper. They have an internet safety course. They have Sip and Paint, which is sold out. It's been very, very popular, apparently. Movies and dinner, the evening programs are usually sold out. The hours of the house of Lapham are Monday to Thursday, 8:30 to 4, Friday, 8:30 to 2, and the extended hours Wednesday and Thursday extend to either 6 or 8 o'clock as needed. And so, as I said before, the calendar and the newsletter is available, and they're always available. They're always on the tables if you need one, and they're also obviously available at the New Canaan MyRec website. I think they do a great job.
They put so much out, it's amazing.
It is, and they do it with a smile.
Exactly, they do it with a smile. There's never any attitude. They're just great.
It's totally can do. It's not, you know,
Yeah,
nothing.
we schedule, like, you know, I have a book club here in Cinema Club. And they bring in coffee, you hardly even ask, and they bring in coffee, and if we are having wine and cheese, they bring in a tray filled with wine glasses, you know, knives and the cheese. And then they clean it up, you know, at the end. It's just, wow, I mean, they're fantastic. They really are.
With the age, reducing a little bit in terms of more like 50 and 60-year-old, Is there any, I mean, this is only because everything's so fabulous, would there be any thought about doing like one night of evening programming or?
I think, well, I mean, they do have some evening programs. I think they're open to doing almost anything. It does become a question of money, that the grant that they received is what covers the evening
Right.
programs. So, if they can get a grant for that, they certainly would do that. I think they're,
They do actually, they stay open as much as they can that way.
Right.
The one thing they do is the days are getting shorter. They usually try to get everybody home by dark,
Yeah.
even though it's
I'm
moved
just
a little
meaning
bit
that
of
there
a.
are less people potentially, I mean, there are more people that are potentially working, not retired or whatnot, that would maybe wanna have like the mahjong
Mhm.
class, or, you know, like things like that, that it's only a positive, just because it
Oh.
seems like their programming is so terrific. that-
Yeah, and I would hate to contradict Peggy, but you know, I've been coming here since I retired 5 years ago, and, I'm not getting any younger, and I don't see the people, and I'm here a lot. I was here earlier today for yoga, I'll be here tomorrow for lunch. We're not getting any younger, which would work.
You are.
Well, no, I'm not sure I've seen that. To me, the age range is about the same as it was 5 years ago. But
I think part of what's happened is the older senior population. The population in Canaan in general dwindled during COVID. A lot of people moved out and not as many, not as many people have moved back. And you're not aging quick enough. Keith.
Well,
You know,
and I
you're
think-
you're staying young.
COVID changed,
So-
when people weren't having to go to the office, they found more time to come over here, but,
Right.
you know, you read every day when companies like Amazon are saying, come back 5 days a week now. I think that's gonna change.
it may, it certainly may, but I think the general, as John said, the general age of the town
It's
is
good.
younger.
So-
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and
Yeah,
so the general age here,
Could be.
it was a senior center. It was
Yeah.
all old people.
The
So,
holiday lunches
Oh, that's all.
were really made up of truly seniors.
Yeah.
So
Not truly,
meeting assistants and such, and now it's a livelier group, so. It's even a little bit.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut from now on because I'm gonna get myself in trouble.
no, yes, I think it also depends on which things you're taking advantage of too. There are certain things that definitely draw a
Sure.
certain age group.
Yeah. I think that what the work they do is excellent, but as we've heard, and again, I don't know the percentage, I've heard unconfirmed. There's been 24 to 26% turnover in home ownership in town. Where you have people that have moved off, new people that have moved in. I don't know what it has done to the town's overall population. I've heard it's gone up 4%, but I can't confirm that. There's not been a census since COVID. And I hope there will be soon, so we get a little bit more of an accurate number. But there's no question that our town has grown, this area has grown. So these type of services are absolutely vital too. And I think the question, the challenge that lies before us is, how can we help Aggie to expand and support that? Okay, absolutely. And she comes to us with different ideas or different initiatives. Hopefully she will be, met with a very positive reception on that. So. Are there any questions of Susan or Keith for that matter? Thank you very much.
Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah. Super, okay,
Okay,
John.
here we go. I had Pool and Kiwanis numbers. And not being in the office since last Thursday, I have no idea where I put them at home. So with that said, the pool is definitely up a little bit on the number of passes we've sold. And also the usage has been up a little bit. Even though a lot of us feel that the summer wasn't great weather-wise, we still stayed open. And people came and used the pool very much so. The Kiwanis numbers are up substantially, but I think that is more to the fact that we didn't do a great job the year before recording the numbers.
Okay.
So, but Kiwanis had some nice use. With that said, I need to thank everyone, from Lapham that we just heard about, Steve Banko Pool staff, lifeguards, attendants, swim team coaches. Of course, the office with Dee and Debbie and the rest of the rec department. And I can't forget Todd and his crew doing all the maintenance to keep the parks in great shape. Say nothing about our vendors and that type of stuff. It's been a busy summer, but it's been very good and I appreciate everybody's help. Going into this fall, we had very disappointing numbers for fall soccer. The one thing that we were always asked to do is keep a recreation soccer program going for 5th to 8th grade, for the kids that just want to really play soccer. And I think we had like 15 people in all 4 grades register.
Wow.
So we had to cancel those grades, which is a shame, but I have a feeling that they're finding, the kids are finding other things to do. So,
Do you know what they're gravitating towards, just out of curiosity? Is it other sports or other leagues or?
not exactly sure,
Yeah,
because, it used to be a fairly busy time for recreation soccer. These were the kids that would never really want to play high school, whether they didn't
Right.
feel they were good enough or just didn't want to do that. But they're just not there now,
so the first, second, third graders, that's still strong,
right through 4th.
right through full
Yeah,
strong.
that's
And
right.
then 5th grade, because what happens, what I'm just remembering from my coaching years as a parent, not soccer so much, but 5th grade, you start to get more into the travel.
Mhm. Right.
So are there other leagues that are taking the kids away? I don't know.
And that could be a lot of it.
Yeah.
The New Canaan Football Club, the soccer association is offering more programs for those kids.
Right.
Could be, not exactly sure where they're going, but. Other than that, sports are in full swing. It's the fall season. Weather's been gorgeous and I'll be glad to take anybody's questions.
I'll just make this comment. I was over in Mead Park on Sunday afternoon. And it was like amazing. They had 2 baseball games going on. The tennis courts were filled, the pickle courts were filled. There were ladies walking babies, over at the nursery area. I mean, there were people walking around the lake. It was such a hive of activity. And this was like, 3, 4, or 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mead Park, if the weather's nice, it's packed with people,
It's just, I mean, and these 2 baseball games going on at the same time, so the parking lot's packed.
Yeah.
But it was just a great feeling.
Yeah.
That's great.
And you get Emad making all the great food and the apple cart. That has really turned out to be an enormous asset.
Right. John, special thanks to you and your crew too, and I know that you underwent some medical things this past week and really appreciate you making the extra effort to be here.
No problem. Thank you.
If there's no other questions, for John, my report is extremely brief. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, October 9th, which is just a few weeks away. And I look forward to seeing everybody here. Are there any comments from the public? Hi, Betty.
Yes, hi, I do have a comment. Betty Lavastik, 69 Old Norwalk Road. I would love to have a copy of the code of conduct. Earlier I can't recall the exact date, but town council also asked the public for comments about the facilities, and I was able to speak to that. So without seeing what your proposal is, I would like to have a copy of that sent to me, and I'd like to make a suggestion. When you had mentioned facilities, you mentioned the Steve Banko pool, but no mention of the beach. And there is sometimes a situation where people have their dogs on the beach, and this is an issue when there is dog feces and we have rain that could get into the water and cause a health situation. Steve Banco used to have large signs that he put up on the lifeguard stands. I think he had 3 of them. So they were all around, halfway around 180 degrees around the beach where it said no dogs permitted or no dogs allowed. Since he passed away, I don't know what happened to those signs, but I would like the commissioners to think of that too, because it could be a health situation. And I have seen dogs actually swimming in the water during the summer when the beach is open to the public. I've seen dogs on the beach. So that's number 1. And number 2, thank you to John for putting up that no beach access sign. That cut down a bit of people that are trying to not pay for beach passes. And they were going in through the playground to avoid paying and getting beach passes. So it has happened, but not as much as it has in the past. Could we get larger signs with no dogs allowed on that playground? Because we have seen some of them.
Yeah, we can look into new signs.
Okay. And Betty, as I
Yes.
said before, we've adopted the new code of conduct policy. However, we will keep the ad hoc committee in place. I think your comments about facilities probably needs to be spelled out a little bit more. And with the beach and stuff, and I think those comments are well taken.
And they're consistent with the new rules, which
Correct.
says
Yeah.
no dogs in these facilities.
Right, exactly.
I was going to say one situation happened where it wasn't last year, the year before, a woman came with a beach pass with her dog and said, well, I'm used to bringing my dog on the beach. And everybody looked, and I was looking for Steve's sign. And we were all saying, you can't bring a dog here. And she said, well, how about if I tie it and leave it in the pavilion? And I thought to myself, well, it's 90 degrees outside. Why would you do that? So I think that would, make sense because there are so many people with dogs. And most, I'd say 99% are very, very mindful and responsible. But then you get the occasional people that think, the beach is the dog playground or something.
When Hank returns, I'll see what works best for you guys and get together. Okay. Good. Appreciate it, Betty. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? In terms of getting a copy, can you send a copy to Betty?
Let me make those 2 changes you made.
Right.
I'll get those and then we can get.
Send out. Perfect. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Good. Thank you. Is there any further business to conduct? Is there a motion to adjourn? Proposal. Second from Doug. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Jake and Tim, are you good?
Tim was good. He raised his hand and Jake's not here.
All right.
He was having spotty connections.
Okay. We're all
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Hi.
Bye-bye. Good. Hour and 5 minutes. Yeah.